All right, so this is number 29 out of chapter 7.3, and this particular problem is kind of a mini proof of sorts of one of the properties of proportions that we have learned. So there's a few ways that we could go about it, but basically in the end what we're trying to determine is that these are equal to each other. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use a method that I think will be a little easier to digest than maybe the one that I used in class. So this one here, I'm actually going to use principles that we just went over to justify my answers. So what I mean by that is we know that the cross products of these are equivalent, and then in fact if we want to rewrite this, we can rewrite this as a plus b times d, and that must be equal to the other cross product. Now all I'm really doing here is rewriting this equation as an equation that is equivalent to it. So b times c plus d. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, but in this case I'm going to have a times d as one of my cross products, and the other cross product will of course be b times c. Okay. So again, my blue cross products here, I have a times d, and that must equal b times c. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave this second piece here alone for just a minute, and what I'm going to do is I am actually going to take the this one here and I'm going to distribute those pieces. So I'm going to distribute the d to both the a and the b here, and so we're going to get a d plus bd. Okay. And that must be equal to, well, I'm going to distribute that b in here as well, and so b times c is just bc plus b times d is bd. Now if you notice, we ended up with bd on both sides. Well, I know from my rules of algebra that I can go ahead and subtract bd from both sides, and that will end up leaving me with AD, okay, BD minus BD is just 0, is equal to, same thing over here, BD minus BD is 0, is BC. And if you notice, we ended up with the exact same equations, meaning that our original equations were also equivalent. Okay. Now there are other methods of proving this, but I thought this would be one of the more straightforward ones. And basically what you can do, and the strategy that I would encourage, is to simply use any property you have to make it look a bit different and kind of go and see if you can find some similarities. There's no hard, fast rules for problems like this.